Hey, and welcome to another episode of ByteChat. So today we'll be discussing Snapchat and why its stock price has gone up by 20%. So I am Dan, I'm an account manager here at FanBytes. I primarily focus on Snapchat influencer-led campaigns, mainly for social apps and gaming companies.
Yeah, so I'm Ambrose. I'm the COO and co-founder here at FanBytes. So I operate across the operation side of the business, but also I'm very involved with the campaigns team.
So Snapchat stock price has recently soared by 20%. Wall Street's analysis have delivered optimistic advertising trends and are reporting that Snapchat is showing accelerated user growth. In your eyes, why is Snapchat still so popular, and what distinguishes itself from other platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and so on?
I think it's interesting because ever since Instagram came along with Instagram stories, a lot of people seem to say there's not much use for Snapchat anymore, right? But what I actually found was that Snapchat actually managed to corner a very loyal group of fans. And if you survey anyone, if you ask your friends or your nieces and nephews, if you have any, then they'll probably tell you that their favorite way to communicate with their friends is through Snapchat. It's cooler, it's more Gen Z. And I think, especially given lockdown and everyone who is currently at home or they're at school, but they can't really integrate the way they used to, that's actually led to them turning to things like Snapchat more in recent times as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think for me, it's just Snapchat's always a platform that's innovating. It's always got that kind of unique selling point about it. For me, what really stands out about it is that I see Snapchat as everyone kind of having their own TV channel in their own sense. I remember when I've been on it for 5+ years now at the moment. I remember I used to love tuning into DJ Khaled's Snapchat stories about the kind of breakfast stuff he did with the whole Bless Up Chef. Every day you would get different meals by his chef, and it would just be so hilarious. And nowadays you're switching up to someone let's say Chunks, who would always be playing different pranks on his channel. So it's kind of what mood you're feeling in. You can go from different influences and always expect different kind of content. For me as well, I think it's that kind of behind the scenes exclusive access you get by using Snapchat. So you can see the everyday life of influencers, what they're doing at the gym, what they're cooking up. And obviously it's so relevant at the moment with lockdown and everything like that. So that's something that really stands out for me. And, compare that to someone like YouTube or Twitch, where, it takes ages to upload something. With Snapchat, it's just one click of the button. So I think it's just really that kind of easy accessibility to the platform, which makes it so good and fun to use.
So with Snapchat, I think they're continuously innovating has definitely been part of their DNA. So they brought out the Snapchat stories format, which then Instagram came to copy. They really pioneered the augmented reality lenses, and now they're even doing things like live games and in-app games. So that's actually I think those are continually innovating. The Snap Spectacles, all of these things are something which Snapchat continue to do, and by doing this, they've managed to corner that loyal teenage and Gen Z audience.
Exactly.
Actually, I saw an interesting stat here. So part of their increased stock price has obviously been their Q3 earnings this year, and they just massively beat expectations for that investors had set. And one thing that was very interesting was that essentially their growth in the UK, the Europe, and US has actually been quite flat. I think they kind of hit their kind of maximum number of daily active users in terms of growth, but their growth in the rest of the world has been much faster, but also the revenue per user has been higher, right? And what's interesting about that is this. Well, if their revenue per user is higher, but their daily active users is flat in the US and UK, it must mean that people are spending more time in app, which basically suggests that these engaging things like the lenses, the AR, the games, they're actually spending more time in the Snapchat ecosystem, and Snapchat are able to just hook them more. So yeah, it's really creating that loyalty.
So it's not originally Snapchat was just known as sending snaps to your friends or whatever, or just mucking about with it. But now it's just almost got everything in one kind of place. So you look at the kind of discovery feed, you've got celebrity updates, you've actually got real news stories, obviously you've got the AR stuff, you've got the gaming stuff. There's just so much to do on it, and it's just so easy to access. I actually read a stat online where it said 180 million Snapchatters engage with AR daily. So it just shows you know, how much more it is just and then, you know, taking a photo and sending it to someone nowadays.
I think also, so to add to that, yeah, like I think because of all of this and this extra engagement, part of the increase in stock price and revenue has also been just how advertisers have been taken to the platform, right? So I think wasn't there some sort of boycott on Facebook ads? I think in summer there was something like 1,000 advertisers said we're not going to spend on Facebook because of the misinformation, mistrust, and things like that going on. And actually, at the same time, Snapchat saw an increase in number of advertisers. And I believe it's because they've always had these authentic ad formats. So the AR, like allowing brands to really engage with the users through the AR lenses, it's been shown that that's much more effective than just like an annoying Facebook ad or Instagram ad, which has misinformation in it, right? So they have really got that right.
So I guess in your eyes, what do you see the kind of future of Snapchat? I mean, we never really know. I mean, AR lenses are obviously so great at the moment, but you know, in a year's time, they could be completely vanished from the platform and they could come up with something else. So it's tricky to say, but I'm sure they're keeping innovating. So do you see any kind of certain trends that will happen in the next year or so?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and obviously that's kind of the secret sauce, right? The fact that they're continuously innovating. It's good that I don't know exactly because it's going to be something good, right? Anyway, so I think though we might see some more maturing of the company. So whilst they have been continuously innovating in the past, they might start to mature and consolidate and bring out standard products that maturing social media companies do. So obviously, we saw the big redesign was like, and remember when the feed used to be chronological, but now it's algorithmic, right? That was one step in that direction. But I saw Snapchat were bringing out a Snapchat Music to compete with TikTok. So, you know, they might start to consolidate, do a bit of copycasting themselves. But ultimately, I do think that it will be cool to see if there is some sort of new ad format or new way of engaging with people's friends on a platform that they bring out, which is unique to them as well. Yeah, so that would be good to see.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just like you always get these random features you see. I mean, even with I think what are Snapchat Maps, like was it like two or 3 years ago? That was something that just absolutely popped off.
I do think actually, I do think that they will be making more of a push on the games side of things. Like they have live games now, a live games feature, which is quite cool. And I think people are starting to take it on more, especially since during lockdown you've got less to do. So it'll be good to see if they can actually grow that and make that like a more like native part of the platform. Yeah, and on that, I think one thing which we definitely saw, I think a couple of years ago, we started to create Snapchat lenses for some of our clients, and there was actually a game company, like a mobile casual games app called Playso, where we created a lens, and it was like a haunted cabin lens for Halloween, and that became the #1 trending lens on Snapchat at the time. And I think the reason why is because it tied in the native ability to create these immersive 3D lenses with games and gamified it in a way. So we made it so that people can walk into the cabin, you can walk around with your phone, you can find hidden clues. And then that was actually a way of tying the two together, the gamification and also the native augmented reality aspects to create like an interesting advertising campaign.
Yeah, sounds awesome. And I'm sure that I know their kind of daily user base just grew massively just because of that one lens. I think what's so interesting about that as well, it's just so different to other ads you generally see for like a mobile gaming app. So it's not just the standard like gameplay or just like a swipe up thing. It's just, you know, initiating that kind of creativity, just bringing it to another level. And that's probably why it was so successful.
So I think the final point is it will be good to see where Snapchat goes from here. I think they've been through their hardest periods. That was when they had to redesign, all Snapchat influencers were really grilling them and leaving the platform. But what remains now is that loyal group of users, but also the loyal influencers who are creating, as you said, behind the scenes content which is really creating that close family feeling. So yeah, it'll be good to see how like where they go with this. And of course, I'll probably be adding a few shares to the Snapchat stock soon.